Imperius, Archangel of Valor and the greatest warrior in all of creation. Throughout the eternal conflict, Imperius valiantly led assaults against the deepest regions of the burning hells. Imperius's rigid moral compass often invoked conflict. Yet despite his stark sense of morality, there is no greater defender of righteousness. Now, as darkness gathers within the Nexus, Imperius has arrived to purge the shadow once and for all. The eternal conflict has shaped the destinies of mortal and immortal alike. But perhaps none more than Malthael, the former Archangel of Wisdom. With the primeval's defeat, humanity, being born of both angels and demons, became one of the last vestiges of demonic power. Using their souls as strength, Malthael became the aspect of death and vowed to eliminate demonic corruption wherever it took root, even within the Nexus.
Now I see things as they truly are.
Leoric migrated to Khaduras from the eastern lands of Sanctuary, accompanying the forces of the Zakharum Church. Settled into the small town of Tristram, Leoric was preyed upon by Diablo's attempts at possession, driving the once beloved king mad with paranoia. He began executing all he thought guilty of treason, including his own wife. Confronted by his knights in the wake of such slaughter, Leoric was cornered and killed, his final breath issuing a curse upon his pursuance. King Leoric then rose again as the Skeleton King.
Ariel, Archangel of Hope, was the first to speak to the Angiris Council on humanity's behalf after they were discovered on the world of Sanctuary. She places her faith in mortals and their potential to become paragons of virtue in times of darkness. Ariel now turns her attention to the Nexus and the heroes who battle within it, ready to bestow hope upon her allies and searing light upon her enemies. Long ago, Mephisto, Lord of Hatred, was captured by the Kharazim and sealed within one of 3 soul stones. But his imprisonment was part of a grander plan. Over the course of centuries, Mephisto corrupted the Zakharum priests who were watching over him, manipulating them into freeing him and his primeval brethren. The sinister effects of Mephisto's hatred follow him wherever he goes, whether it be the confines of a soul stone or the cosmos of the Nexus. Deckard Cain is a kindly scholar who devoted his life to protecting the world of Sanctuary from demonic threats. Working alongside brave heroes, Deckard is a formidable force for good, thanks to his ancestral ties to the Kharazim. Now he is ready to study the Nexus and uncover its secrets.
The Nexus? Interesting.
A magical prodigy from an early age, Li Ming was once a standout pupil of Chaldean's prestigious Yashari Sanctum. Fully convinced that she was a hero prophesied to defeat the legions of hell, she left behind her teachers and traveled the world as a renegade wizard, a master of limitless arcane power. Now that path has led her to the Nexus. The enigmatic necromancers hold a belief that all creation exists in a delicate balance between light and darkness. Should either side gain control, the world of Sanctuary would fall into ruin. As a member of their ancient order, Zul fights to preserve that balance, no matter where his travels may take him or what foes stand against him.
From the monasteries of Ivgorod comes a powerful servant of the Saftev faith, Kharazim. Like all monks, he has devoted his life to serving his 1001 gods and their mortal representatives, the Patriarchs. In obeying their will, Kharazim has traveled from Sanctuary to the battlefields of the Nexus, where he now seeks to bring divine balance to the chaos.
The crusade calls us, my friend.
Johanna, a powerful crusader of the Zakarum faith, an ardent defender of the light, hails from the eastern lands of Sanctuary. Johanna seeks to purge the dark influence that has befallen Zakarum at the hands of a prime evil, Mephisto. Resolved to give her life to the crusade, Johanna has entered the Nexus in search of an apprentice that will carry on her legacy when she is gone.
The Isle of Skobos is the home to the reclusive Askari and their Amazon warriors. Long ago, their oracles predicted the dark exile of the prime evils and foresaw an Amazon would someday rise to fight them. Alongside a group of valiant heroes, Cassia defeated Diablo and his brothers and returned home after the World Stone's destruction. Now the war matron and commander of the Amazon army, Cassia brings a lifetime of martial knowledge to the Nexus.
The Haradrim of Sanctuary have few records that make mention of a demon known as the Butcher. 2 appearances are noted, spanning a time frame of over 20 years. Countless victims fell to the terror of this monstrosity as it threatened Tristram, and rumors are told that the demon is physically constructed from the pieces of other demons. As a result, the Butcher appears to see all other living and unliving things as mere parts.
Few mortals have had as much effect upon the cosmos as Gul'dan. Even as a young shaman, his desire for power knew no bounds. Pledging himself to the demon lord Kil'jaeden, Gul'dan became the first Orcish warlock. With the aid of his Dark Master's gifts, he corrupted the orcs and created the Shadow Council, setting in motion the invasion of Azeroth. Now, a storm is gathering within the Nexus. Darkness incarnate has come. Kel'thuzad is the Lich King's most trusted advisor and lieutenant. He and his cult of the damned unleashed a plague of undeath that consumed Lordaeron. After being slain in his master's service, he was reanimated as a Lich and given leadership over the dread citadel Naxxramas. Despite the efforts of the Azerothian heroes, a Lich doesn't die easily. Such power is inevitably drawn into the Nexus. Unbeknownst to all, Kel'thuzad has been biding his time within the Nexus, planning and preparing instead of revealing his presence. Working in secret, the Lich Lord recruited and corrupted powerful heroes to bring his enemies down from within. This time, all will obey the call of Kel'thuzad.
We hide in the shadows no longer!
Intelligent and cunning, the Kharazim, or Dreadlords, serve as the tacticians and infiltration specialists of the Burning Legion. During the second invasion of Azeroth, Mal'Ganis was chosen to corrupt Arthas Menethil, the Prince of Lordaeron, and transform him into the Lich King's champion. After causing the prince to purge Stratholme of all life before its inhabitants fell to the Scourge, Mal'Ganis inspired Arthas to take up Frostmourne. In return, Arthas slew Mal'Ganis and took his revenge. Yet the Dreadlord's machinations did not end there. The First War began when Medivh, the last guardian of Tirisfal, opened the Dark Portal and unleashed the Orcish horde upon Azeroth. While he paid for his actions with his life, Medivh's spirit could not rest. Returning to atone for his past, he guided a new generation of heroes against the Burning Legion. Now, he brings his wisdom and power to the Nexus, ready to take his place amongst legends. Varian Wrynn, father, warrior, king. After the desolation of the Second War, Varian returned home with his people and rebuilt the nation of Stormwind. Years later, a plot against the crown would take him away from his homeland. Awakening with no memory, he became the gladiator Logosh, and through many adventures, fought his way back to his kingdom and his son. Varian's ferocity was legendary, and he ultimately gave his life to secure Azeroth's future. Now, in the Nexus, he stands tall as a true
hero of the storm.
Some pursue leadership. Others, like Anduin Wrynn, have fate impose it upon them. At the age of 10, he was forced to act as king when his father, Varian, disappeared. After his father returned and the plots against the throne were ended, Anduin pursued a new path as a priest of the Holy Light and an envoy of the Alliance. But fate was not done with him. Years later, Varian would fall to the invading Burning Legion. Taking up the crown once again, Anduin has learned that peace must be fought for, even in the Nexus. Orphaned as a young child, Valeera Sanguinar has led a life of hardship and adventure. She forged iron bonds of friendship with Broll Baremantle and Varian Wrynn while fighting alongside them as a gladiator. Even after becoming Varian's advisor and bodyguard, she held on to her independence, which she still maintains as a member of the secretive Uncrowned. Now in the Nexus, Valeera is loyal to neither the Horde nor the Alliance, but to her friends and herself.
Victory or death!
Though he grew up ashamed of his father for drinking Manaroth's blood, Garrosh Hellscream was filled with fierce pride when he learned of Gromash's heroic sacrifice. After joining the Horde, Garrosh quickly rose to become the commander of its forces in Northrend, and eventually Thrall's successor as war chief. His hatred for the Alliance is unrivaled, and he wants nothing more than to crush them into dust. Now, the Nexus trembles as Garrosh's war song echoes across the realms. After their homeworld fell to demonic corruption, the Draenei found refuge on Draenor, and for a time knew peace. Raised within the Temple of Karabor, Yrel served as an acolyte, until a mysterious stranger united the orcs into a fearsome Iron Horde. Only through a chance meeting with the forces of Azeroth was Yrel rescued from orcish captivity and able to become a leader for her people. Now, in the Alliance's moment of need, Yrel has come to return the favor in the Nexus. After the Second War against the Orcish Horde, King Genn Greymane sealed away his country behind a massive wall to protect his people. Isolated from the rest of the world, a terrible curse swept through the land, forever changing the Gilneans. Now, Genn Greymane has left his home to enter the Nexus, bringing with him the curse of the Worgen. Welcome. Hailing from the Warcraft universe, Kael'thas Sunstrider left his lofty seat on the Mage Council of the Kirin Tor to avenge and protect what remained of his people after destruction at the hands of the fallen prince, Arthas. Armed with 3 crystals of power left behind by the ransacking Scourge, Kael'thas has now made his way to the Nexus. For 10,000 years, Maiev Shadowsong served as Illidan's jailer, pursuing him across Azeroth and Outland until she defeated him at the Black Temple. But the hunt had changed her. Unable to rejoin Night Elf society, Maiev reunited with her fellow Wardens to continue her eternal watch. Fortunately for her, the Nexus has no shortage of dangerous menaces in need of imprisonment or execution. As the Lord of Azeroth's fire elementals, Ragnaros desires nothing more than to burn the world to ash. Under the command of the old gods, he waged a war against the Titans eons ago and was banished to the Firelands after his defeat. Ragnaros has returned to threaten Azeroth twice, once when he was summoned by the Dark Iron Dwarves, and again when Deathwing shattered the world. The Fire Lord now turns his rage toward the Nexus, intent on incinerating everyone and everything within it. Uplifted and empowered by the Titans, Alexstrasza is the aspect of life and queen of all dragons on Azeroth. More than any of her kind, Alexstrasza is fond of mortals and does everything in her power to protect them, even joining their fight against her fellow aspect, Deathwing.
As she soars through the skies of the Nexus, Alexstrasza is determined to continue her charge of safeguarding life and shepherding its mortal champions. The Horde, corrupted by demons, bent on conquest, some driven by the lust for power, others for the pure thrill of destruction. Cho'gall, a rare two-headed ogre, was the first and most powerful of the Horde's ogre magi. Now he's here, and the Nexus will never be the same. Deep within the forests of Lordaeron lies the kingdom of Zul'Aman and its zealous guardians, the Forest Trolls. During Azeroth's Second War, the Amani warlord Zul'jin struck an alliance with the Orcish Horde in order to eliminate the Trolls' ancient enemies, the Elves of Quel'Thalas. But their pact would not last. With the Horde's defeat, Zul'jin and his kin returned to the forests. Now, drawn into the Nexus, he still seeks a way to enact his terrible vengeance. When Lordaeron fell to the Scourge, few were affected more than the Knights of the Silver Hand. After their disbandment, many retreated to an ancient monastery in the hills of Tirisfal and formed the Scarlet Crusade, swearing to eradicate the undead and all who would aid them. As High Inquisitor, Sally Whitemane leads the crusade in their fight against the menace of undeath, purifying its corruption wherever it takes root. Daughters of the demigod Cenarius, the Dryads have dwelt on Azeroth since well before the time of the Great Sundering. Lunara, the first of her kind, has made her way to the Nexus and is looking to abolish the work of anyone who wields power in an affront to nature. Before falling to demonic corruption, the Burning Blade clan was known for its deadly Orcish blade masters. Samuro was the last to wear the clan's banner, swearing allegiance to neither the Legion nor the Horde. Instead, he has embarked on a warrior's pilgrimage to restore the honor of the Burning Blade and claim vengeance in their name.
Born half-orc, half-ogre, Rexxar is a legendary hunter, famous for his role in helping the Horde find a permanent home in Durotar. His faithful animal companions, including Misha the bear, accompany him wherever he roams, even here in the Nexus.
Since time immemorial, Azeroth has been guided by the Dragonflights, each granted a sacred task to preserve a fundamental aspect of the world. Chronormu, or Chromie to her friends, may appear to be a friendly yet distracted gnome, but in truth, she is a bronze dragon and an ardent defender of time. Now her charge to preserve history has brought her into the conflux of time and space known only as the Nexus. Eons ago, the Tal'Darim left the Protoss homeworld of Aiur, following their Xel'Naga masters into the darkness of space. There they established a brutal society, believing that through obedience they would ascend into hybrid alongside their god Amon. But it was a lie, meant to control them. With the aid of the Templar, Alarak rebelled against his masters and wrested control of his people. Now, as their High Lord, he leads the Tal'Darim on a new path of conquest to eternal glory. After the loss of Aiur, the Protoss race teetered perilously close to extinction. It was Hierarch Artanis who bridged the bitter divide between the Templar and Dark Templar factions. With the Spear of Adun at his command, Artanis prepares for war inside the Nexus. One of the most celebrated heroes in Protoss history, Phoenix made his last stand valiantly defending Aiur as the Zerg invaded and overwhelmed him. His body was later recovered and implanted in the shell of a Dragoon so he could continue to fight and earn glory in battle. And now, with a new horizon, his pursuit for glory continues in the Nexus. Bravery and individuality are not qualities that the Templar typically program into their robots. But when the Protoss returned to take Aiur back from the Zerg, one heroic probe saved the day by warping in a pylon that allowed reinforcements to join the battle. Now in the Nexus, Probius has gained a spark of life that matches his boundless sense of curiosity and adventure.
War in the Kuprulu sector is brutal and unforgiving. Life expectancy on the front lines once measured in mere seconds. A healing touch was desperately needed. Meet Lieutenant Morales, a combat veteran who has kept her squad alive through countless battles. Now, she's stepping into the Nexus.
The UED Expeditionary Force intended to put an end to the conflict in the Kuprulu sector and ensure Earth's survival. Unfortunately for Vice Admiral Alexei Stukov, things didn't go according to plan. After being betrayed and killed, his corpse was reanimated and infested, and he was imprisoned and experimented on by his assassin, Samir Duran. Only through a chance alliance with Kerrigan was Stukov able to escape and exact his revenge. Now, his infestation continues to spread into the Nexus. Ever since he was a child, Miles Lewis was drawn to the flame. Later in life, he had the opportunity to join Raynor's Raiders and fight for the future of the Terran Dominion. He hesitated, but when he learned he could become a firebat, that sealed the deal. Miles quickly earned himself the nickname Blaze due to his zeal for lighting it up. Now he brings the heat to the Nexus in his own signature style.
Sarris, the forgotten home of the Zerg. After eliminating their Xel'Naga masters, the swarm left the planet a barren wasteland. Or so they thought. In truth, a few survivors had burrowed deep beneath the surface. These primal Zerg were individuals, free from the Overmind's control. As one of the strongest surviving primals, Dehaka is driven by a need to consume the essence of powerful foes, claiming their strength as his own.
One of the world's best snipers, Hana Amari was a founding member of Overwatch and served for years as its second-in-command. After being gravely wounded in the line of duty, Hana struggled with the weight of a life on the front line and chose to retreat from the world. But her need to protect the innocent soon proved too strong to ignore. With her rifle back in hand, Hana is ready to use her years of combat experience to safeguard the Nexus and everyone in it. In his youth, Genji Shimada lived a carefree and self-indulgent life. But when Genji refused to join his older brother Hanzo in running their clan's vast criminal empire, he was mercilessly cut down and left for dead. Bound by Overwatch and given a new cybernetic body, Genji struggled with his dual nature until the Omnic monk Zenyatta taught him to find inner peace. Now in the Nexus, Genji uses his elite ninja skills to fight for what's right. Overwatch, an elite international task force assembled to ensure global peace. The fearless Lena Oxton was chosen as the pilot of their prototype teleporting fighter, the Slipstream. During a test flight, the aircraft malfunctioned, leaving her desynchronized from the flow of time. Thankfully, the brilliant scientist Winston was able to construct a chronal accelerator, granting Tracer the ability to speed up and slow down her own time. Armed with fantastic new abilities, she has become an irrepressible force for good. The Nexus could always use more heroes, and Tracer has answered the call. The aftermath of the Omni Crisis affected the entire world, perhaps nowhere more drastically than in the Australian outback. Due to an attack on the Omnium's fusion core, the area was transformed into an irradiated wasteland. Survivors, like Jameson Fox, were greatly affected by the resulting radiation. Post an eviction from Junkertown and a subsequent international crime spree, the explosive-obsessed Junkrat has found himself in the Nexus. And wherever Junkrat goes, havoc and Bedlam can't be far behind. The Omni Crisis, a global conflict between the forces of humanity and autonomous machines. While some consider it in the distant past, the fires of a second war are flaring up in Siberia. Alexandra Zaryanova was a star of the Russian athletics program until she rushed to enlist in the local defense forces after hostility erupted in her homeland. Now, Zarya serves her country proudly, using her immense strength to protect the people and the nation that she loves. Once a world champion professional gamer, Hana Song, better known as Diva, joined South Korea's mecha unit to pilot one of their mechs against a colossal Omnic threat. Diva's elite skills and fiercely competitive spirit make her extremely effective in her combat operations. Whether fighting Omnics near the East China Sea or demons in the Nexus, Diva never backs down and always plays to win. Not all heroes come from other universes. Some are born within the Nexus. After uncovering her father's dark secret, Orphea left her home behind, hoping to escape the Raven Lord's influence. Through a chance meeting with Deckard Cain, the young girl arrived in King's Crest, where she witnessed firsthand the kingdom fall to her father's ambitions. Unwilling to let him hurt anyone else, Orphea chose to rise up against the Raven Lord as a hero of the Nexus.
In my homeland, there is a saying: no crystal stays alight forever. What is bright one day lies in shadow the next. Erisia, my home, was the envy of all realms. The Mother Crystal's light let us do wondrous things. But our great ambitions led to greater divisions. In our strife, we destroyed our world. Yet, I survived. And I carry that sin with me. I hunt, capture, kill. Whatever is required of me. On this day, justice didn't come for you. I did. All of you, and only one of me.